Another big win is to reduce your attack surface on your browser. There's another way of saying disable, remove, or uninstall anything that you simply don't use. If it's not installed, it cannot be exploited. Thus, you've reduced your attack surface. Particularly, we want to reduce the attack surface for those things that directly interact with the internet, because those are most at risk. And those include things like your browsers, and particularly browser plugins and extensions. Top priority is to remove, disable, or limit Java, Flash, and Silverlight. Vulnerabilities are constantly being discovered for these. If you are a little late on patching, you could get caught. Or if you're super unlucky, you could get hit with a 0-day vulnerability in any of these. Have a look at this spreadsheet again, and notice you can see which applications are most used as an exploit platform within these exploit kits. So if you can see here, we have Java, Firefox, Silverlight, Flash, Java, Firefox, Java, IE, Flash. So I think you get the point. We definitely need to address Java, Flash, and Silverlight, and we need to address all of those things that are directly interfacing with the internet, because those are what are targeted. Secondary priority is to disable or limit JavaScript and browser applications like PDF readers. If you're wondering what is Java, Flash, Silverlight, JavaScript, and if you are using them in order to know whether or not you can disable them, well, here are some examples. So here is a Java application. What Java does is it creates applications that run in the browser, or if they're out of the browser, they run in virtual machines. And a very small percentage of websites actually use Java. It's less than 0.1%. And here we are with an example of the sort of thing that Flash does. It plays videos and animations, but it's been superseded by HTML5, which can do the same sorts of things and do it safer. Sites that insist on Flash simply haven't upgraded to HTML5 yet, and they should. If you have a favorite website that's still running Flash, then complain to them, ask them to upgrade. But still, about 10% of sites are still using Flash. You have Silverlight, which has a small usage base, which is about 0.1%. It provides similar features to Flash, and you can see an example here of the sort of things that Silverlight will do. Basically provides applications within the browser. And then you have application extensions. Here is the example of a PDF file that's been viewed within the browser. And last but not least is JavaScript. JavaScript is not the same as Java, by the way, in case you have those mixed up. Java is a programming language, while JavaScript is a scripting language. Java creates applications that run in a virtual machine or the browser, while JavaScript code is run on a browser only. Java code needs to be compiled, while JavaScript code is in text. You saw the Java application before, which was the financial monitor application. And here is an example of what JavaScript looks like. So on the Udemy website, and you can see various scripts on here doing various things. An example might be that when you come to Udemy, it checks to see which browser you have and will change the screen accordingly depending on your browser and personal preferences and settings. The problem with JavaScript is that virtually every site uses it, about 90% of sites. So you need it enabled for most of the websites to work properly. And you can see on the Udemy website how it has lots and lots of scripts. That website is just not going to work properly without JavaScript. But at the same time, it is used to exploit the browser. An example, not long ago, being the NSA using JavaScript to de-anonymize Tor users on the darknet. the NSA was aware of a security bug in Firefox, so JavaScript was placed on a web page of a site these people they wished to identify was visiting. The JavaScript then executed an exploit against the security bug in Firefox. It then grabbed information about the machine, such as its MAC address or hardware address, and then sent that information back to the NSA. In the same light, a cyber criminal could take over your machine in this way utilizing JavaScript. Another angle to consider when thinking about JavaScript is when you connect to a site, you'll find that the site connects to many other third-party sites, mostly for tracking you and advertising purposes. And JavaScript can be downloaded and run from multiple locations when you visit just a single site. If you remember back to the Malvertisement example, which uses JavaScript, shows how this can be used to install malware from third, fourth, fifth party sites. So what do we do about JavaScript? We need it, but it's a security problem. So the first plugin I recommend is something called QuickJava. This enables you to quickly enable and disable JavaScript plus Flash and Java. If we do a search for QuickJava, Firefox, we'll find the plugin here. We can add that, install, restart the browser. So now it's installed, and you can see it here on the toolbar. If I click on here, I can see that we have JavaScript, Java, and Flash all enabled. So if I click on any of these and remove the tick, that then has disabled those two. And generally this is the recommended settings, where Java and Flash is disabled, JavaScript is enabled. But you'll notice that Silverlight is not there, so we can't conveniently turn it on and off. But if you go into Customize, you can see here we have the option to include Silverlight. And red means that it is off. So you could also add Java, JavaScript, Flash, remove this one, and then you can more clearly see as an option what you've got enabled and disabled. But this is a nice way for you to enable and disable Silverlight if you particularly need it. Now if we go to a website with Flash enabled, there you go, you can see what happens. This plugin is disabled. But if we enable it again and refresh, there we go, we can use it. So useful tool, keep it set like that whenever possible. If remaining anonymous is a complete priority to you, then simply JavaScript has to be disabled and cannot be enabled. It is a method to de-anonymize, and it also has security problems, as we've discussed. If you're just concerned about the average type of threat and you want to browse the web without too many restrictions and without websites not working, we need compensating controls to mitigate the risks from using JavaScript. And I'll go through various methods to do that as we go through, because we want to take a layered, defense-in-depth approach. Let me show you how to deactivate plugins in Firefox. You need to go to your add-ins and you need to click on plugins here, and then you can see the various plugins that you might have. And we've got Flash here, so you've got an option to ask to activate, which is useful if you want to use it occasionally, and probably for Flash you might need that. Then you have things like Java, where you may want to change it to never activate. Silverlight, you may want to change it to never activate. Java again, never activate. and these two are actually fine, but I mean you can change the settings if you wish. And extensions, if there are things here that you don't use anymore, then you can just simply remove them. If we go to options here and then applications, you can see all the various applications that are used, and here we have the PDF. I would suggest changing that to always ask or save to disk. This way, if you click on a PDF file, that PDF file cannot then exploit anything. If you've got it to always ask, you're always notified first to make the decision yourself. If you have all sorts of plugins and extensions, and you've really made a bit of a mess of everything that you have within your browser, then you do have the option of going to about.support, and if you go to support and click on refresh Firefox, that will take you back to a new and fresh install, and then you can start again.